Ah, shalom. Shalom. Yeah, I'm just going for a walk. Now I've been writing and working all day. I need to take a writing break. I added in some new study material because of the war that I waged against my ex and her family. Hi. Well, I mean, it's God's war. It's not like I didn't really do it. I mean, it's more of a jihad than anything else. Me and my God are going up against them and their God. Less ways. And so my criteria, my study criteria, my study work, all of it isn't so much predicated on the idea of learning something new, although it is. I'm learning new things to learn new things about myself. I'm learning to understand new things so that I can better learn to understand myself. So there's been the Communist Manifesto, which has been going well. I'm chipping away at it very, 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 very slowly. Piece by piece. So when I write about it, I have a designated Facebook group for this type of work. But it's private, so I don't let anybody in it. There's one other person in it, but I don't think they know that it's being used for the purposes that it's being used for. So the way that God explains it to me, the way that Hashem explains it to me is that just by the very fact that there is someone there, they may not actively be in the group or using Facebook at all, but just the fact that there's a digital presence in there besides mine. It's like a little loophole where I can at least say, hey, it's not like I didn't tell nobody. And I let the other person know, hey, I'm going to be in here working in this group, which I've been doing for the past 7 weeks. Each post I write is roughly about an hour. A standard hour, not a relative hour, but a standard hour, pretty much. But then depending on the book that I'm working on, the book that I'm working through, the subject that I'm working on, I type out the paragraph that I'm on. So I don't copy and paste it, because normally what I would do is before I was working in this group, I was just using my composition notebook journals and handwriting out what I read, which is a method that I've been employing since last winter when I started working with Aristotle, because he's too smart for me. I'm not a smart man. If I walk a little faster, I might be able to cross. How's it been working out? It's been working out great. I mean, I started working with Aristotle. I mean, I talk about it all the time, but I started working with Aristotle as part of a bigger project. Are you familiar with Hellenist Jews? I mean, if you want, I'm going to talk about it enough, but you know what? It's all right. I can explain it again. Oh my. One of my favorite things about all the things that I do is I like to explain it, but I don't have anyone to explain it to. Because nobody's actually interested. And if they are interested, they don't say anything. So it makes me feel like nobody cares. So because it feels like nobody cares, it's like, well, I care. So why don't I just record myself talking about it? And this way, in the future, I didn't know you were working on that. I didn't know that's what you were doing. Well, it's not like I didn't say anything. God and I have been giving the whole goddamn thing away for years. How many videos are on this channel? Well, they're not short and concise. Are they supposed to be? Well, if you want people to watch them, do I want people to watch them? Do I want anyone to watch it? I feel like I'd be really embarrassed if people watched it. So why do you do it? That's a good question. But you can't get over the fear of something if you don't feel the fear for it, right? You gotta heal it to feel it. You gotta feel it and feel it. And if I'm afraid of something, then it would make the most sense that if I want to stop being afraid of it, if I want to stop being afraid of the thing that I'm afraid of, then it would be wise to consider the idea of allowing the fear to consume me. Right? Coming to my mind is the Bene Gesserit axiom. Fear is the mind killer, right? Because if you let the fear win, then you don't do things. And if you don't do things, then you're not doing anything. And there's not really anything you can do to fight fear. You can't fight it. Because when you fight the thing that you're afraid of, you just become more afraid of it. So the most logical conclusion is that you just let it run its course. Because why am I afraid of people looking at these things? Well, they get pretty inflammatory. Sometimes I call out specific people that are in and were in my life. That's pretty terrifying. But my ex-mother-in-law, she used to whenever this song came on, she loved it. She loved it when this song came on. What is it? Not Belinda Carlisle? You're so vain. You probably think this song is about you. You're so vain. Right? Because my opinions are my own. So it's not like... It's not that I don't believe in what I'm saying. It's not that I don't mean what I'm saying. I mean it when I say it. It's just that I'm getting it out of my system. And once it's out of my system, fear is just one negative emotion, right? You get over fear by being afraid. You get over being mad by being mad. And when it comes to my ex and her family, of course, I got a lot of gripes. I got a lot of gripes. I'm sure they got a lot of gripes, resentments. So right now, So right now, I'm pretty much, it's not that I'm fucking with them. It's not that I'm fucking with you. Or toying with you. You ever read Dude? There's a really great chapter that sums up what we're doing right now. I just read it last night. I usually do about 1 or 2 chapters of Dune a day. Because I want to learn the Bene Gesserit ways, and also the ways of Muad'Dib, which is really important, and also the ways of the Fremen. There's a lot of really good, a lot of insightful wisdom that we can take away from it. So man. And last night's chapter, if you ever saw the movie, I mean, you don't have to have read the book. You'll know the scene if you saw the movie, but it's after the Harkonnens wiped out the Atreides and took back Arrakis. And Paul and Jessica are exiles. And eventually, they are found by Stilgar and the Fremen, who believe them to be the Lisan al-Gaib. How do you say that? Lisan al-Gaib. The voice from the outer worlds. The Messiah. So now, from the perspective of Paul, or at least from the perspective of Jessica, she's only seeing it from a rational perspective, in the sake that a bunch of coincidental events took place that made it so that they just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But if you flip the script on it, God is a major player in Dune. And just based on reading the book so far, I don't think they really get too much into this in the movies, but there's lots of references to the Israelites. And Islam. And there's a couple quotes from Halleck Gurney. He quotes the book of Ezekiel at least one time, and he quotes the book of Jeremiah at least one time. So it's safe to presume that Halleck Gurney is maybe not a Christian, but maybe a Jew. Or at least an Israelite. He also makes reference to the fathers, to our fathers who were eating manna in the desert. So he's not an uneducated man, but at least we can tell just from the story itself that the Dune universe takes place about 24,000 years after God promised Abraham that his children would be as numerous as the stars in the sky. You know, it's from that perspective, I had suspected that Dune was related to Abrahamism to one degree or another. Just based on a couple things. Even that the people from Arrakis, when they see Paul, they call him the Mahdi, which is the Islamic title for the Muslim Messiah. And I know if we look into Frank Herbert's inspirations for the book, it says that he was influenced by things he had learned about Islam, or at least Muslims. But I remember one day, I was just kind of curious. This was last year. I forget what it was that really clued me into it. I think it was after I saw the first movie, and they keep telling Paul, "You're a descendant from kings," and I knew he was called the Mahdi, and I had read a little bit enough of the book to understand what the Reverend Mother says to him in the book, but she doesn't say it in the movie. If I remember correctly, like there's really no reference to this, where she says to Paul, she's explaining the Quizat Haderach, which is a Hebrew word, by the way. It's a derivative of a Hebrew phrase, which I think that there's like maybe one or two different letters mixed in there, but it essentially says the same thing, Quizat Haderach, which means the quickening of the way. And the way is a capital W. It's not a lowercase w. Like when Jesus says, "I am the way," or if we decode my Hebrew name, Derek, means the way. It's the way that's the path, the way that God sets for us. It's our fated destiny path. It's a divine path, right? Like I was watching some Dune fan theories, and they go on about how Paul and Jessica were just kind of taking advantage of the fact that these people, that the Fremen were brainwashed into believing this prophecy, but they're not really taking into consideration that the prophecy was divinely inspired in the first place. Yeah, guy's gone. No, he's still there. Is this nigga still moving? No, those are the ants. Well, if you watched the last video, that's where I accidentally stepped on him. Dragonfly. But it looks like the ants are finally here to clean up the corpse. But no, it's not that, I mean, they think that they're taking advantage of the prophecy, but they're really not. Yeah, but the Bene Gesserits, they're atheists. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just because atheists exist, that doesn't mean that doesn't negate that they live in God's reality. That's just kind of how it works. It's kind of what the Bible, like if you read if you read the books of Moses, all 5 of them from beginning to end in order. Like if you read, like you have to read from the beginning of Genesis to the end of Genesis, all the way through, straight through. And then do the same thing with Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. When you do that, you start to realize, oh, okay. God chose these people because everybody else is going, oh, fuck this. Because everyone else is an atheist. Everyone else is either an atheist or a pagan. So that's why God chose the Jews. He didn't really, and like when he chose us, it's not so much that he chose us to get all this like good stuff. Not that there's not good stuff from being a Jew. There are perks. There's a lot of perks. But you don't get a choice. Like you don't get the whole illusion of free will. I know Jews, they love, all the other Jews, they love to say, we got free will, yeah, maybe you do, but not all of us. Look at Jonah. Jonah didn't have free will. Jesus didn't have free will. Moses didn't have free will. Because if Moses had free will, Moses told God, you got the wrong guy, bruh. You go talk to my brother. My brother's the one who's got, he's the one with the finesse. But God said, no, you don't, I'm not, this isn't a suggestion, if you get me. And the same thing with Jesus. Like in the very beginning of like Matthew, Rabbi Jesus, he very quickly references Jonah. He doesn't get into why, but it's kind of a cue for the reader. That's like Rabbi Jesus going, reader, stop here. If you have not read the book of Jonah, go read the book of Jonah and then come back. It does that a couple times. Like there's a couple references to prophets where maybe he might just quote like one line or something, and that's supposed to be your cue to stop here, come back later once you know what the fuck we're talking about. Like there's something that came to me today. I saw this post on Facebook last night, and it was this lady Kyra, not Kyra, but Kyra. And she said what the world needs now is more Jesus, which made me think of Donald Trump's "Make America Pray Again." You know, Jesus was an advocate for slavery. Did you know that? If you turn to, I was just writing about this. Matthew 5:17, I believe it is, where Jesus, he makes it very clear for everyone, for the Jews, for the Gentilians, for anybody who's looking in the future. I'm not here to change the law. I'm not here to abolish the law. I'm not here to contradict the prophets. I'm here to fulfill it. Now, if you turn to Exodus 23, one of the laws that he's promoting, that he's advocating, are the slave laws. Like what to do if and when a man sells his daughter into slavery, and how she isn't eligible for the same protocol that would fall to a male slave. Like a man slave. And now mind you, that's also going with what we're only talking about Hebrew slaves. Those are the Hebrew slave laws. That's not talking about the Gentilian slave laws. Gentilian slaves, they don't get the same courtesies either. It's like being a jet. When you're a jet to the end. It's like, when you're a Gentilian slave, that's what you are for good. You get your property, and you're passed down from generation to generation for as long as you live. It's not really an option. Now the one thing that's nice about Jewish slave laws or slave rights, is that we're not allowed to abuse the slaves at all. And it's even said, like, if a slave escapes from his master, you're not allowed to turn him back in. That's assuming that he's escaping for good reason, because he feels like his life is in danger. So you can't bring the slave back to an abusive master. Now, just because Jesus didn't get into any of these things, that's because Jesus was doing something. Like, he wasn't there to start teaching the law. Like, he was there to talk to Jews and to get the Jews back on track. Like, it wasn't so much. There's a reason why there's a lot of Torah law that's left out of the New Testament, and it's not for the sake that it doesn't count, because, like Jesus said, I'm not here to change or abolish the laws. I'm here to fulfill them. The idea is that you're learned in the law. So you're supposed to know the law before you start studying Jesus, because he's not here to teach you that stuff. That's stuff for you. So realistically, the world needs more Jesus. Hey, listen, I don't judge. I'm an advocate for slavery too, just like him. What happened? Hold on. Hello? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. What's up with you? Yeah, that's me. Kenneth Smith. Kenneth Pop Smith? I know you. I need you to think back. Like, we've only met a couple times. I'm the white guy that sometimes walks down the bike path, and sometimes I'll ask you for a cigarette. The last time, yeah, you're remembering? Okay. No doubt. No problem. Take care. You have to be in the. You had to be there. That dude that just called me. He's like this OG. He's this like 60-year-old OG dude that lives down the ways. I pointed out that I'm white because he's black. But the last time I saw him, we were chilling out on his front porch. We were smoking a joint, drinking some beers. He was looking for another Derek. So, oh, you're talking about. I hear it. You're talking about slave rights. You're talking about slavery. Well, you got to understand too. Like American slavery, when the Americans were enslaving the Africans, though everything that the Americans were doing were technically illegal in Torah terms. Like you can't be chaining people up. You can't be whipping them, beating them. If you're going to, you have to have a reason for doing it. Like God's very clear. Like you can't abuse your slaves. So the type of slavery we're talking about isn't the same type of slavery that America was practicing. Actually, Israelite slave laws are antithetical to the non-slave laws that America was practicing, because there were no slave laws. That's why people they talk shit. Like, well, it's a stupid fucking meme. If your holy book gives moral codes on how to own slaves, it's not a good book for morality. That's not true. Would you prefer that slaves have no rights? Like right now, in the United States, the 13th Amendment, there's loopholes to slavery. The government, with the 13th Amendment, took the right to own slaves away from the people and gave itself exclusive rights to own slaves as a form of punishment. But there's no rules written in the Constitution as to what the protocols are for how to handle slaves. And it's right there. It's in the fucking. Just go to the fucking Congress.org. It's like 2 sentences. And it's not even clear. It's not even very clear. It just says slavery and forced servitude, which. What about voluntary slavery? What about wage slaves? Because if we go out to where we're right by Atlantic City. Right by Atlantic City, and then we can go to any place. We can go to any business establishment, and we can interview all the employees and say, if you weren't getting paid to do this, would you do this, or are you just doing this because you got bills to pay? I wouldn't be doing this shit. So you have to. So you're kind of let's go and let's find someone with a mortgage and a car payment, insurance they got to pay. As soon as you sign that mortgage, as soon as you sign that car payment, yo, nigga, the bank owns you. You ain't getting out of it. And then you have to get a job so that you have to pay the bill. So with the 13th Amendment, it doesn't ban the slavery mindset. And no, you don't have to pay the bank. You don't have to. But you have to. You believe you have to. And like the wise King Solomon said, the debtor is the slave of the loaner, the creditor. The borrower is the slave of the lender. Thank you. Hashem, I love you too. So the 13th Amendment, it only really bans one type of slavery, which is just the type of slavery that America was involved with. And technically, If you're a proper sophist, you can manipulate the wording just enough to make your this other form of slavery palatable, like employment. Who hasn't had a job where your boss treats you like a slave? They tell you what to do, right? They tell you when you have to go to. They tell you when you're allowed to go home. They tell you when you're allowed to have your lunch. They tell you when you're allowed to when you have to come in. So they're telling you how to live your entire life. You got somebody that you don't know who doesn't really give a shit telling you how to live. How many people base their lives around their jobs? Because that's what you have to do. Don't take life too seriously, though. You know? Don't take it too seriously. Because otherwise you might actually get something done. So I take my life way too seriously. Way fucking too seriously. After my wife left, I quit my job a month later so that I can pursue what I wanted to pursue, which is what I had been doing for about 10 months leading up to that. I had found, like, okay, this is what I want to be doing. And it got to a point where my job was getting in the way. And it was not necessarily wise that I did that. It was fucking totally wise that I did it the way that I did. It wasn't smart that I did it the way that I did. And I didn't have any backup plan in the sense that, well, that was the point, is that I didn't have a backup plan. Because I figured, if I'm going to succeed at doing this thing, I can't have a backup plan. Like, I'm going to walk this tightrope. I can't have a safety net. I got to get rid of it. And after a couple weeks of trying to manifest the job getting rid of me, and I did a really good job at it. I felt like I was so close. But it got to a point where they won the battle of wills. Because it was just like, you know what, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. These people are never gonna fucking fire me. And maybe, who knows, maybe had I waited like an extra day or so, then they would have done it, but why? For unemployment? Okay, that's fine. But you know what, fuck it. Fuck it. Money is the fucking problem here. Money's the big problem in my life, so fuck it. Just don't even worry about it. Just let things fall how they will. I had a little bit of a savings. It was only enough to last me for fucking 3 months. But what ended up happening was, as soon as I quit the job, because that was about 40 hours a week, plus 2 hours of driving every single day. So that was 50 hours of my week that I got back, which was the intention. And then that 50 hours a week, I just filled it up with all the other shit that I was working on. All right, fuck it. I remember one of my neighbors said, well, why don't you just get a job? This way you can get money. Well, if I do that, I'm kind of going backwards. You feel me? Because I left the job so that I can put 100% of my time into this. And if I go get another job, I'm now going from 100% of my time to what? 40? And, well, you just got to manage your time better. Right. But how many people go to a 40-hour-a-week job and want to do anything more than just sit in front of the TV? You feel me? And that's something I was already doing, so why am I going to go back to doing what I was just fucking doing? That's not fun. But you just said, yeah, I know, but you got to, there's a lot of time frames. There's a big window of time that we're covering here. Because once I found my thing, then it was a matter of putting all of my time and effort into it that was free. And then I started to notice that I was working 40 hours a week, plus with the driving. And then when I get home, I might have a couple hours that I can invest into that. And then on the weekends, that's all I was doing. Until eventually, everything aligned where the job was kind of getting sick of me. I was getting sick of the job. And I needed more time. I needed more of my time back. So when the opportunity came to quit, that's what I did. It wasn't an easy decision. That was fucking hard. I was scary as fuck. I mean, there's some things I wish I would have done differently. Like, it took me another month before I finally got the courage to not pay my mortgage. Because I figured my intention was to start making money from what I was doing before the end of the summer, which is what I was hoping for. I had done my research. I had done a little bit of research and found that it takes about like 60 months. About 60 months before, up to about 60 months for a foreclosure to go through. And I thought to myself, you know what, that's perfect. That's perfect. I won't need that much time. But at least I'll be able to fucking live in my house for that time. And of course, things didn't work out the way that I planned. But it worked out exactly the way that God planned it. Because something I learned from my Lord. Thank you, Hashem. I love you. Something I learned from the Lord is that even though I think I know what I want, even though I think I know what I need, I don't know shit. God knows better than me. God knows me better than me. The Creator knows the creation better than the creation knows itself. He knows where He needs me to go. So I just go, okay, where do you need me to go? What do you need me to do today? Which goes back to what Jesus was saying with the prophet Jonah. Because Jonah's big claim to fame is that Jonah tried running away. He tried getting away from the job that God told him to do. And because he ran away, he actually brought himself back to where he had to go. The further you try to run away from your fate, from your destiny, the closer you actually bring yourself to it. And Jonah made a big fucking spectacle about it too. Like, it didn't have to go that way, but I mean, in essence, it did have to go that way so that future generations like myself, we can look back, read Rabbi Jesus and see what he was talking about, and then go back to Jonah and go, oh shit, I get it. Oh, Jesus already knew. And that's kind of what he was talking about. That's why he brought up Jonah. Is like, I'm only doing this because I don't have a choice. Why make a big fucking deal about it? Like, I'm gonna die either way. Fuck it. See, because he already knew he was gonna die before he was gonna die, which he says a couple times. But when we see Jonah, that's kind of like that clincher. It's like, oh shit, that nigga, he knew all the way back then. Damn. And he still kept going. Which brings me back to Dune and how the Dune prophecy, yeah, it was orchestrated technically, but even people who don't believe in God, you're actually doing God's will without even realizing it. Look at the story of Joseph, right? Going back to reading Genesis. At the end of Genesis, once you get all the way through Genesis, the last individual that we follow is the prophet Joseph. And Joseph was the son of Jacob, who was born with the gift of being able to interpret dreams. And technically he wasn't really able to interpret dreams. He could hear God, and God told him what the dreams meant. But because he had a dream that his brothers and his family were going to eventually bow down to him one day in the future, he told his family about the dream, and his brothers then conspired against him. And they were going to kill him. That was the original plan, was to kill Joseph, to get the dream, get this guy out of the fucking picture. He's got to go. The fucking dreamer. We'll see what comes of his dreams. They beat the shit out of him. They threw him into a pit and then sold him into slavery. But in so doing, they ensured that he was going to be in the right place at the right time to meet the right people, so that when the time came for him to save the world from the 7-year famine, he was exactly where he needed to be. And when he finally reunites with his brothers, and they finally find out that it's him that's been not toying with them, because he wasn't toying with them. He was doing what God told him to do. Like when God told him, send their asses back to go get Benjamin. Tell them that you want to see Benjamin. All right, I want to make sure. I want to make sure this kid is not fucked up. I've been gone a long time. Joseph, by the time he reunited with his brothers, he had already been gone for about fucking, let's say 2 years. He spent 2 years in prison. Then it was 7 years for the years of plenty. So it was at least 9 years. He was 17 when he got thrown. He was around somewhere between 15 and 17 when he got thrown into slavery. How long was he working for Potiphar? Let's say a year. So that's about 10 years. So let's say they didn't see this guy for fucking 10 years. He wanted to make sure that they didn't do to Benjamin what they did to him. So when he finally saw that Benjamin was safe, and he revealed his identity to his brothers, I was like, oh fuck. After they just confessed everything. This is God punishing us because what we did to the boy, to Joseph. And after they get it all out, Joseph takes off the mask. Ha ha, it was me the whole fucking time. Joseph, please don't make us into slaves. Please don't make us into slaves. I'm not a replacement for God. But what he says to them is, he tries to calm the situation down. He goes, so it wasn't you who sent me here, it was God. And he made me the father of Pharaoh and Lord over the whole of Egypt. And Joseph could say that with confidence because one, he's got a one-way connection with God. He's got a two-way connection with God. Then on top of that, Joseph was the witness to his whole life. So he saw how everything played out. Where these motherfuckers, they didn't see shit. They didn't know what the hell was going on behind the scenes. They don't know what was going on over the past 10 years. Judah was busy getting his daughter-in-law pregnant. And who knows what the other jabronis were doing. Perpetrating a fraud in front of the father. Who they told him, Joseph, he got eaten by an animal. Is that really what happened? Scout's honor. Oh. Falsely invoking Scout's honor. Is that familiar, boy? Talking to. But now, when you read the story of Joseph, when you read the life and times of Joseph, like you think like his brothers are real pieces of shit for doing that. And yeah, technically they were because there was literal malicious intent. They had malicious intent. You think that they're acting of their own free will. But once we get later on in the story, we find out that their free will wasn't even free will. The moral to take away from it is that even when people are patting themselves on the back for fucking us over, they're only doing what God designed them to do. So don't hold it against them forever, because you're just fucking yourself over in that way. Just recognize that the people who fucked you, the people who thought that they were fucking you, the people who went out of their way to fuck you, those people, they were doing what the Lord instructed, putting their stupid little pea brains so that it would set you up to be exactly where you need to be so that you can do the things that you need to do and be in the right place at the right time to get the shit done. Right? Like Joseph. Thank you, Hashem. I love you too. All praise the Most High. fucking Satan. Even Satan's a good guy. He's more neutral. He ain't a bad guy. Satan isn't evil. That's for fucking sure. Read the book of Job. I always heard that the story of Job was all about the guy getting fucked over, God testing him. And he was, technically, to see if Job would stay pious. But that's not what happens in the story. That's not what happens in the book. If you read the book, it's like 42 chapters long. For 40 of 42 chapters, Job is being gaslit by 3 dudes who are trying to convince him that he's a piece of shit and that he deserves everything that he's getting. And it's not that Job maintained trust in God. He wasn't praising God. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you. No, the whole fucking time, Job is going, I don't know. I don't know what I did. God is mistreating me. God's not treating me fairly. This isn't fair. You should feel bad for me. And these guys are just fucking pointing the finger. No, it's you. You're the fucking problem, you sinning piece of shit. Fuck you, Job. You cocksucker. You wouldn't be fucking dripping with fucking leprosy. Your kids wouldn't be dead. Your house wouldn't have fucking burnt down with fucking meteors falling on it. You did it to yourself. But no, he really didn't. Satan did it. But even still, Satan only did it because that's what God told him to do. So much for the fucking rebel. The rebel obeyed God's command to the fucking letter. There's never fucking once, never not motherfucking once does Satan ever in any of the Bibles give God the finger. That's some propaganda bullshit. And Jesus, when he's getting tempted by Satan in the fucking desert, that's his own fucking ego. Trust me, I've been there. He knew how fucking powerful he was, and he's thinking to himself, I could take over the world with this. And he could have. And he probably would have, had he allowed himself to listen to his inner voice. Because that's what it was. That's what the Satan was. He listened to the inner voice. And when he's telling the other guys, the other Jews, oh, you're children of Satan. Yeah, you got Satan on your brain. You're just listening to your own fucking egos. That's what Satan is. I ain't saying that Satan's not an entity. Oh, fuck yeah, he is. I love Satan. But I love God more. Thank you, Satan. I love you too. Thank you, Hashem. I love you too. Why? Because Satan is a child of God, just like me. In Hebrew, we call it the Yetzer Hara. The Satan is the evil inclination that is born within every single human. I don't understand where the divide between Jews and Christians really come from. Because, I mean, aside from Jesus, do Jews deny the whole, like, you're born a sinner? Do Jews deny that? Do the other Jews deny that? Because I don't. Because I know what it means. It just means that if you don't have someone to tell you what to do, if you're not, the law is there to kind of train us to not act like fucking animals. Because because humans are animals, right? We're straight on that. And if you aren't trained how to break free of that beast animal mentality, you're gonna act like a fucking animal. And that's what the Torah laws are all about. Are teaching you how to not be an animal. It's not about going to hell or anything. I mean it is and it isn't, but it depends on how you define hell. You walk outside your fucking house, it's hell. When you go to your job that you hate, but you tell people, oh, I love my job. It's so fulfilling. No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't lie to yourself. That's just you lying to other people. You're just like an asshole. And that's breaking the fucking third commandment. Thou shalt not lie. We live in a fucking society that's predicated on lies. I saw the thing. I was just saying, Donald Trump, let's make America pray again. Right. But why don't we be honest about it? I mentioned how Jesus, your God, was an advocate for slavery and genocide. Genocide? Yeah, the genocide of the Amalekites. Who are the Amalekites? The Amalekites are the people that God specifically put into Torah. There's a Torah law. There's a law in Torah that says these people will be fucking wiped the fuck out. Do not show them any mercy. King David, of blessed memory, King David was anointed to be the next king because the king in charge at the time, King Saul, he didn't obey the law. The prophet Samuel, he said, it's time to take care of fucking Amalek, and put all the men, women, and children to the sword, and even the cattle. Don't take any of their shit, let it all rot. But Saul decided to follow his own way, and he told his men, just put the men to the sword, save the women and the children. And take whatever cattle and whatever booty you want. So King Saul gave God the finger right away. And because he did that, God decided it was time for a new king. And he chose David. I mean, but now here's where it gets a little confusing, because what we learn from Joseph is that the future's already written. The future's already written. It's just, you have to let things play out. So David getting anointed, that was going to happen no matter what. Saul giving God the finger, that was going to happen no matter what. Even when you read through the book of Judges, where God actually takes a step back after Joshua died, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to take a step back. I'm just going to go into observer mode and see what the people do, and just let them kind of do their own thing. And you ever read the book of Judges? The book of Judges is fucked up. It's really fucked up. They almost wiped out the entire tribe of Benjamin. The other Israelites, they're acting like fucking animals. There was rape parties. There's one guy's wife. The guy shoves his wife out the door because this pack of fucking crazies, they come to rape him. Come outside. We want to be intimate with you. Fuck that shit. And he throws his wife out instead. And then locks the door. And then they raped her all fucking night. And I don't know. I have to reread the book of Judges, but I feel like it doesn't necessarily say that she died from the rape. What we know is that when the guy left, he was staying in someone's house. And then when he went out in the morning, he found her body there. And then he put her on a donkey and brought her back home. But I don't think it said that necessarily that she died from the rape, if I remember correctly. But the guy ended up, once he brought her home, he chopped her up into 12 pieces. And then he sent each one of her pieces to one of the other 12 tribes. And he started some shit with the tribe of, and he said, this is what the tribe of Benjamin did. But at the same time, when we meet the scoundrels, the rape party, it's never explicitly said that they were of the tribe of Benjamin. It happened in Benjamin's territory, but it doesn't say necessarily that they were Benjaminites, which then caused a war, and then all the fucking Israelites went to war against the Benjaminites, and they almost fucking wiped them out. A big shit show. And because they continued to transgress the law, the Israelites, God just sent all their enemies in, one after the other. Here, go enslave them. Go whoop their ass. And by the end, they're begging. They beg, please, God, help us. And you know what he says to them? He goes, why are you crying to me? Go cry to the fucking gods that you started to worship instead of me. Go cry to them. See what they do for you. Go ahead. But then he remembered his promise, and then he's like, all right, I'll help you. Then they started calling for a king. Why do you need a king? You have me. You don't need a king. Although, in Torah, the right to have a king was given to the Israelites. But there's specific rules. There's specific rules for who and who cannot be a king. In order to be the king of Israel, you have to be of Israelite descent to one degree or another. Because despite what Orthodox Judaism says, one's Jewishness is not passed down from their mother, it's passed down from their father. Which is in the Torah. It's in chapter 25 of Deuteronomy. It says it right fucking there. The protocol for what happens if an Israelite man has a child with a non-Israelite woman. Right, so the problem with Jesus was that he was against, like, the orthodoxy of the Pharisees in the New Testament. Those are literally the guys who were writing the laws that became modern Orthodox Judaism. That's why I saw a video today of Israelite Jews. They were like throwing shit at this lady who was preaching the word of the Savior. And yeah, of course, they don't. Orthodox Jews, they don't want to hear shit about Jesus. Jesus spent his life talking shit. He was wiping his ass with the doctrines of the Pharisees, and the Pharisees were the ones who were writing the Talmud. And the Talmud is what is the code of fucking Jewish law today. Orthodox Jewish law. It's not all Jews. Not all Jews follow the Talmud. That's important to know. And that kind of brings me back to my what I was talking about before, about how and why I got into studying Aristotle. Because that's when I found out, once I started to learn about the different species of Jew, I ended up finding out that not every Jew follows the Talmud. And once I started to start researching Jews that don't follow the Talmud, God eventually led me to finding out about the Hellenist Jews, who were the other Jews that were around during the time of Jesus. There was the Hebraic Jews, and then there was the Hellenist Jews. The Hebraic Jews didn't care for the Hellenist Jews. And even today, the Orthodox Jews don't necessarily accept Hellenist Jews as Jews because of the fact that they incorporated Hellenist philosophies and logic into their Torah study. For example, Philo of Alexandria, who was a Hellenist Jew from the 1st century AD, who was around during the time of Jesus. He was a contemporary of Flavius Josephus, who wrote about Jesus. Briefly, but he wrote about him. He mentions him in Antiquities of the Jews. Now, if you go to Wiki, if you look at the Wiki page says that historians think that maybe there were some alterations just to add Jesus in there. But Jesus is a part of Jewish history. Jesus has sections in the Talmud written about him. So everybody knows that Jesus was a guy. He just wasn't the guy that those particular Jews were interested in, because they wanted to control the Messiah, who the Messiah was, just like the Bene Gesserits, right? Right, let's go back to Dune. So the Bene Gesserits, their intention was to control the breeding of the human race so that they could ultimately decide who the Kwisatz Haderach would be based on their genetic breeding, which is essentially what the Orthodox Jews, the Pharisees Jews were all about. They wanted to make sure that certain people were breeding and keeping certain dynasties alive and getting rid of other dynasties. Like the Hasmonean dynasty. Does anybody know who the Hasmonean dynasty was? Those were the last kings of the Jews before Rome overthrew them, and they planted King Herod in. And the fact that King Herod was John the Baptist? No, John the Baptist was... John the Baptist, that was Herod's son. Other one, Herod. So after the first Herod died, then his son took over as the king of the Jews. But he wasn't even a Jew. Which makes his rule illegitimate. Because in the Torah it even says that in order to be appointed as king, you have to be of Israelite descent. And King Herod the Great, he was an Edomite. Edomites are the descendants of Esau, who was Jacob's twin brother, his evil twin. Do you know that Jacob had an evil twin brother? That's where Italians get their red hair from. Because that area is where he founded the land of Edom, which means red. Now there are scholars, Jewish scholars, who believe, and I don't doubt it, that Romulus was a descendant of Edom. So it's not impossible that the dismantling of the Hasmonean dynasty, which was potentially in part predicated on the fact that the Pharisees wanted control, because at the end of the Hasmonean dynasty, there was a civil war going on in Israel where two brothers, one brother was the king and the other one was the prince. One was aligned with the Sadducees and one was aligned with the Pharisees. And their bickering turned into a civil war that Rome had to get involved in. And when Rome got involved, they put all the Hasmoneans to death, with the exception of the daughter who King Herod married, just kind of as a fuck you. The Hasmoneans were the descendants of the Maccabees from the Maccabee Revolution. Which, if you read the book of Maccabees, which is hard to do because they took it, it's not in the Bible. That one got taken out. I heard there's only certain sects of Christianity that kept it in, but and I think I know why. So the book of Maccabees actually bridges the gap between the book of Esther and the New Testament. And at the very end of the book of Maccabees, after Simon became the head of the Israelite people, after his brothers and his father died, his sons were designated to be the forever kings. So Simon Maccabeus, he got the same deal as David and as the line of David and the line of Ephraim. So Simon Maccabeus, his line became the next, you guys will be king forever until the coming of the next prophet, which is all written out in the book of Maccabees. There's like right at the end, I think it's chapter 14, at the end of chapter 14, it goes on to say how the Jews, they appointed Simon and his sons and his progeny as the forever kings until the coming of the next prophet. the end of the Hasmonean dynasty was around 40 BC. I believe, I need to look into it more, but it coincides just right with the assassination of Julius Caesar. If I remember correctly, like if the dates line up, where it's like Julius Caesar got assassinated and then Mark Antony took over Rome, and it's like right there where the Hasmoneans get put to death by Rome, and Herod gets put into power. Now, what's interesting is Herod's father was a member of the court of the Hasmoneans, so it's like a lot of shady shit going on. And then, just to make it more sketchy, in the beginning of Maccabees. So we're coming up to Hanukkah, so this is relevant. So the Maccabees, they're notable for the fact that they cleared out the pagans that had taken over Israel. But when you read the book of Maccabees, it explains that there was no good nicks among the Jewish people of the time, and that they were the ones who suggested, hey, why don't we make a deal with these people? Why don't we start working with these people? Let's see what happens. And even during the Maccabee Revolution, there were dissenters from the Jewish community that were trying to set up the Maccabees to be taken out. So it makes me wonder, like, okay, well, I wonder why that book got taken out of the Bibles. Because last year during Hanukkah, that was my first time observing Hanukkah, which was fucking awesome, by the way. I asked Hashem, I'm like, how does anybody know that this really happened? Like, where's the books on this? Why isn't it in the Bible? I don't get it. And then it was around January, I was working on a project where I started reading Dante's Inferno again. And as I'm reading through, it was my second time reading through it, so I was familiar with everything that happened. But I was picking up on little details that I missed, that I wasn't aware of back in 2020, like things that just wouldn't register for me. And as I'm reading it, I think it was in the third circle of hell. Dante meets a soul, and he's talking to somebody about some shit that was going on in Italy. And the guy makes a reference to New Jason from the book of Maccabees. And he says it just like that, like New Jason from the book of Maccabees. And I'm like, wait, there's a book of Maccabees? Where the fuck is that? So then I Googled it, and I found out there's a fucking book of Maccabees. And it was taken out of the Christian Bible so that the Christian Bible would align more succinctly with the Hebrew Bible. So the Christians, they took it out so they can copy the Jews. Why? Well, you have to read it. When you read it, that's why. That's why. Could it be that the people that Jesus was warning the other Jews about, could it be that they masterminded this whole plot so that they can gain control over who gets to be the Messiah? Is that what it is? Because that's what it looks like to me. And why the fuck did Dante talk about the book of Maccabees in Dante's Inferno? Why was he cluing people in? And who's New Jason? New Jason was an emissary that was sent by, he's in the book of Maccabees. After Judas Maccabeus dies, who was the leader of the Maccabee posse at the time, after they cleared out the Second Temple, which was the event that inspired Hanukkah, which is in the book. But the story in the book doesn't match the popular story of Hanukkah, of the eight day miracle. They ain't none of that in there. They left that part out. All it says is that they cleared the joint out, and they started to refresh all the oil bins, and this is the day that was designated as Hanukkah. It doesn't specifically say Hanukkah, but it gives the date. There's nothing about a miracle of a bottle of oil lasting for a week. That didn't happen. So Hashem, did it happen? Assume that the way it happened in the book is the way it happened. This other story is just a story that they tell. All right, no problem. I'm not saying there ain't no miracles, but I'm just saying that particular miracle, that ain't nowhere to be found. But after Judas Maccabeus dies, then his brother Jonathan takes over. And after they kicked all the pagans out, after they kicked the Persians out of Israel, like all the surrounding nations, they were scared shitless. They were scared shitless because the Jews, they were like fucking animals. They were wiping out everybody that was getting in their way. Anybody that was trying to conquer Israel, they were whooping the ass. They had bitachon for fucking days. But so what ended up happening was when Jonathan took over, he sent emissaries to Rome and to Sparta in Greece just to make peace agreements. Like, yo, these people around here, they're all fucked up. But I'll make a deal with you. If they fuck with you, we fuck with them. If they fuck with us, you fuck with them. And Jonathan was one of the two emissaries that went to get the peace agreement signed by the Senate of Rome, and they did. But why would Dante think that it was so important? I don't know. It's making me think, like, why don't you go look to see when the book of Maccabees was actually taken out of the Bible? That might explain something. But then there was some other shit going on too with Dante, because I had no idea that Dante had gotten the attention of the Pope of the time. Did you ever read the 48 Rules of Power? 48 Laws of Power? I was listening to it during Tisha B'Av, after the 9 days, which is predicated on the 3 weeks, which is predicated on the destruction of the second and the third temple. It takes place in over the summer. It's like a 3-week period of mourning for the destruction of the first and second temples, because they both fell on the same day, just different years. So I was listening to the 48 Laws of Power, and I asked God, can you help me understand how this is relative? And the next fucking chapter, thank you Hashem, I love you too. The next fucking chapter is talking about how the Pope of his time, Dante was involved in some major revolution that was going on in Florence. It was the thing that got him exiled. Everyone knows that Dante got exiled from Florence, but it had to do with some kind of revolution that was going on at the time. And because he was such an influential political figure with whatever it was about, and because Rome had something to gain from Dante's side losing, there was an emissary, there was a group of men that went to go see the Pope, including Dante, and the Pope said that he wanted to keep Dante for a couple days just to kind of chat with him. And during the days that Dante was with the Pope, his side of the revolution lost. I don't know what it was about. Now if in Dante's Inferno, it gets into it. There's clues and hints that are dropped in that book, but it's just a poem. It's just a poem. Don't worry about it. And there's some bullshit I heard, like in the very fucking beginning of the goddamn book. he's hanging out. He's after Virgil finds him. Before they go in, they're sitting around a bonfire or something. They're fucking hanging out and talking. And Virgil is explaining to Dante how it came to be that he was in his service. And he goes, "There's 3 women that are backing you up in heaven right now." And if you Google it, because I had to, after I read what he said, after I read what Virgil says, I'm like, wait a second. I never heard that before. And what the hell is she doing here? So, if you look online for who the 3 women are, it says the experts, they say that the 3 women that helped Virgil find Dante was Beatrice, Saint Lucia, and Mother Mary. But that's a fucking lie. That's a lie. Because that's not what Virgil says. Virgil says, "I was hanging out with Rachel." Rachel is the wife of Jacob, the mother of Joseph. What the fuck you say? What the fuck are you talking about Mary for? Why did you say Rachel? Because ain't nobody know who the fuck Rachel is. He said, "I was sitting with fucking Rachel." And then St. Lucia comes to tell me that Beatrice is looking for me. And when I met Beatrice, she told me to come and get you. Or to come and give you a tour. Come on. And then like maybe, I think it's in the 4th circle of hell before they move on to the 5th. Virgil's explaining to Dante, not once. Some other bullshit I read is that Dante was like some hardcore Christian. There ain't nothing Christian about the fucking, in Dante's Inferno. Jesus is only mentioned, he's alluded to. He's alluded to twice. Maybe 3 times. Mother Mary isn't even brought up until Purgatory. Although, in the 7th circle of hell, I think it's it's the 8th. I think it's the 7th Bolgia of the 8th circle. So the 2nd layer of the 8th circle of hell. That's the 4th, where the hypocrites are. The circle of hypocrites. When Dante and Virgil are touring the circle of hypocrites, the hell of hypocrites, there's a man that's fucking crucified. There's a man crucified on the side of the road. And Dante's like, what the fuck is this guy? And Virgil tells him, "Oh, that's the guy who told the Jews to kill Jesus. Him and his father-in-law's crucified down the street." I love Inferno. That's like one of my favorite things ever. I want to read it again. It's like so much fun because Dante, like I think it's when they're on the way to the 6th circle. They're on a ferry. They met this demon who was just getting off of work. And Virgil comes up, he's like, "Yo, we need to go over there." And the fucking demon, he's like, "What the fuck, man? Just got done with my shift." It's basically how the conversation goes. And Virgil's like, "I don't give a fuck. We gotta go. Come on." So as they're rowing along, it's like over a swamp. And this fucking soul jumps up and he grabs Dante. And Virgil's like, "Show no pity to these fucking people." And he kicks him right in the fucking face. A couple times, Virgil had to remind Dante, do not show pity to these fucking pieces of garbage. Every single one of these motherfuckers, they got here because they intended to get here. I think even in the 9th circle, once they get to the 9th circle, right before they meet Satan, Dante loses his fucking mind on some guy. Just telling him how big of a piece of shit he is. I think the guy's he's getting his brain eaten. But the nice thing about Dante's Inferno is like it helps you get into those spots in yourself, because once you can see yourself in each circle of hell, once you can kind of reconcile that, and you can get through all the shame and guilt and cringe that comes along with reading each chapter, I just going that I can see myself in there. Yeah, there I am. Hi. Once you can get over the cringe and you can start looking at what's happened to everybody that's down there, like there's this sick, I mean, this could just be me, but there's this sick satisfaction of watching these pieces of shit suffer. It's just like, it's a one time, it's okay to be a fucking, like a psychopath. So Jews, we have an obligation where we have to write out the Torah, right? We have to transcribe it for ourselves. It's in I think it's also in chapter 25. It might be 23. It's one of the two. But there's a rule about punishment. And it says if there's two men are having a dispute over something, and they go to the law, right? So they go to the courts to settle the dispute for them. Every Jew is obligated to be a fucking lawyer in Torah law, but just in case you need to go to an official or a magistrate to settle your case, if the officials find that one man is in the right and the other man is in the wrong, and that the man in the wrong needs to be punished with lashings, right? He needs a good flogging. The maximum sentence is 40 lashes, no more. And it says, if you do more than that, you're, how does it put it? Degrading. Yeah, you don't want to degrade the people. Don't give them more than what trust me, he's gonna learn his lesson after 40 fucking lashes. Don't do 41. Now it's a little bit confusing here, right? So that's the opener. The next sentence after that, it goes, do not put a muzzle on an ox that's threshing. And it got me wondering, like, why are we jumping around here? Because the next law is about how women, like if two men are fighting, right? Let's say I jump a guy while he's walking around with his wife. I'm beating the shit out of him. But she jumps in to save her man. If she goes for my balls, if she goes and attacks my balls, she gets her hand cut off. Show no pity. That's what it says. Show no pity. Now, what's important to that is, like, we know what you can't do, but now what else does that mean? You can go for his eyes, go for the ears, rake his fucking face. You can do anything you want, just don't go for the balls. That's it. But in between that we go back. That's the third law of this particular section. First section is don't degrade somebody by giving them more of a beating, more of a punishment than what they deserve. But then also don't put a muzzle on an ox that's threshing. What the fuck is that? What does that have to do with this? And it came to me. Thank you, Hashem. The guy who's doing the flogging, right? I love that word. The guy who's dishing out the flogging, do not tell him to stop. It's a metaphor. The ox is the guy that's whooping the ass out of the guy who needs the lashings. And while he's doing his job, don't get in his way. Don't try to stop him. Don't deny him the pleasure, because you have to understand too, what kind of person is going to take who wants to be flogging people? Somebody who enjoys it. In Exodus, we learn, right? After God gives Moses Rabbanu, when he gives him the specs for the priest robes and the specs for the tent of meeting, the tabernacle, and the ark, God says so. He's like, you're not responsible for doing this stuff. I have people that have the skills necessary to make this happen. All I need you to do is just write it down, hand out the instructions. So the way it's being revealed to me is that the ox is the guy who's doing the thrashing, who's doing the flogging, and threshing is the flogging, the act of flogging. So that tells me that God made people who love that job. If you love to flog people, we got a job for you. There's a space for you. You don't have to feel bad about loving to abuse people, because the people that you're going to be abusing, they deserve every fucking lashing. And it's the same thing in Dante's Inferno. If we go to, what was it? There's one circle in the eighth. There's one layer of the eighth circle where Dante and Virgil, they're being escorted by this pack of demons, the Black Angels, and they're being escorted, right? Because it's dangerous. So these fucking guys that they're walking with, they're talking about how much they love their job, and at least one time, I think there's about 5 demons that are escorting them. And at least one time, one of the demons, he's like, hold up, I'll be right back. Hold my beer. And he beats the shit out of this one fucking soul. He just torments him with the pitchforks. And I remember reading this going, wow, these guys fucking love their jobs. And even if we go back to the second circle, where King Minos, so the first circle is for all the people who were never baptized. That's all your pagans, that's your Greeks, that's your poets, that's your philosophers. That's all the people that died before Jesus or didn't get baptized. Ain't nothing wrong with them. It's just that there's a waiting line to get in. Because you have to go through Inferno before you can get to Purgatory, before you can get to Paradise. And you gotta go through the levels. It's not like the fucking Christians say where it's like a fucking eternal damnation. No, you're gonna be there until you fucking get the lesson. Until you figure your shit out. Eternity is as long as you need it to be before you go, oh, I'll take responsibility now. Because those people, they're not taking any responsibility for their shit. Like the fucking people in the third circle. They got fucking Cerberus fucking ripping them to shreds. Just fucking tearing into them and just treating them like a dog toy. Love that shit. Even in Genesis, when during the Great Flood, right? All those people that died, every single one of them, they fucking deserved it. Even the kids. All those kids, they were rotten. They were rotten little fucks. This is one of those situations where you can look at the suffering of human beings. Like, we're not supposed to celebrate the suffering of people, except for when they deserve it. When they deserve it, then you can just drink deep on all that pain and suffering and cringe that they're feeling, because you know that they fucking deserve it. Delicious. But once you get past the first circle and we get into, well, I thought the first circle was when they had to go over the bridge and there's all the herd of the zombies. That's the antechamber. That's the anti-inferno. That's like that. That's the waiting room. That's the other waiting room. That's the waiting room before the waiting room, before you get in line. That's like security. Once you get into the first circle of hell with the unbaptized people, those are the people that they're just waiting for. That's like the deli counter. They're just waiting for their number to get called. And then once you get into the club, you got King Minos, who's standing at the door, judging everybody. And he doesn't just do it. He makes you do it. And if you don't do it, he does it for you. And he rubs your nose in it. And then he tells you where you're going, what circle you're going to. After he's done telling you what piece of shit, how big of a piece of shit you are, and in front of everybody. So all the other pieces of shit, they get to see how big of a piece of shit you are. And then he tells you where to go so that you can go with all the other pieces of shit just like you. And it's not a punishment for this guy. King Mario, that's not a punishment. That's his fucking pleasure. Oh, I love Inferno. That's my fucking, I wish I had the time. I wish I could clone myself so that I can read it to myself while I'm doing other things. Alright, calm down. Ease it. Where were we at? The Hellenist Jews. Hellenist Jews and the Maccabees. I know, I didn't forget. So why the fuck did Dante need everybody to know about the Book of Maccabees? Probably because he knew that somebody in the future was gonna have to like figure all this shit out because everybody ignores it. So somebody's gotta do it. So I'm gonna put it in this book and trust God when he tells me that eventually someone's gonna pick this motherfucker up, know what the fuck they're looking at, and know what the fuck to do with it. You're welcome. It's all in my head. Yeah, I know it's all in my head, but that's what I'm saying. Is like it's all in my head, but if it's not all in my head. It's not all in my head because I didn't know. I didn't go looking for that. I asked God the question, and a fucking month later, my Lord, he surprises me because the only reason I was fucking reading Dante's Inferno, I was scrolling through Facebook one day, and then I saw an ad for a tabletop role-playing game based on Dante's Inferno, but it came like with this special edition. It came with a special edition where it had the game rules, additional adventures through Dante's Hell, and then a hardcover, like a really cool graphic novel version of Dante's Inferno. And it's not a graphic novel. It's illustrated. Mind you, I got a fucking hard copy. I got a hard copy of the motherfucker under my bed, where it's the entire Divine Comedy. But I wanted that because it looked really cool. And then, so as I'm waiting for that to come in, I'm thinking about all the cool shit I'm going to be fucking learning about. I went to the bookstore maybe 4 or 5 days later. I went to the bookstore and I went to where the tarot cards and the oracle cards are, and I found a Dante's Inferno oracle deck. I'm like, shit. All right, thank you, my Lord. He knows how badly I want this. But then when it came in the books came in like a week later. But this is at the time where I learned about the Jews that don't follow the Talmud. And then once I learned about the Jews that don't follow the Talmud, I started doing more research into other types of Jews. Because you would think that there's only one type of Jew. But there's lots and lots of different types of Jews. The Orthodox Jews, the Jews that most people are familiar with when they think about Jews, that's just one type of Jew. That's one species of Jew. Even if you go to, in the New Testament, Jesus is working with Samaritans. That's another type of Jew, technically. God forbid you call a Jew a Samaritan or a Samaritan a Jew. But they come from the same family. They're two species of Israelites. The fucking Samaritans are the remnants of the people from the northern kingdom of Israel, and then the Jews are the remnants of the people from the southern kingdom of Judah. technically, and this isn't right, this is not correct, Jews are descendants from David. Samaritans are the descendants of Joseph. And that's important. That's important because in the book of Ezekiel, it says specifically that Jesus isn't the king of Israel. He's not. Because Jesus only has half of the genetic blueprint that God lays out in the Bible. I'm pretty sure that's why Christianity doesn't get too much into reading the Old Testament, because if you read the Old Testament, you'll find out that Jesus isn't the guy that you think he is. I'm not saying he was not a prophet. He's just not the king. I'm not saying he wasn't from the line of David. He was from the line of David. But in Ezekiel, we find out that the king, the actual king of Israel, the next king, the real king of Israel, is a descendant of David and Joseph through Joseph's son Ephraim. Like that's all really important stuff. And if like, I don't know. I was talking to some missionaries last night. I went outside for a cigarette. I usually go out in the back to smoke, but last night I went out in the front to smoke because I saw my brother come home and I was going to talk to him, but he was on blah, 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 blah. But as he got out of the car, I saw these two ladies come walking up, and they start talking to him, and he points at me. I got my headphones on. I can't hear what they're saying. So I see them all turn at me, and I took my headphones off, and they said, "Are you interested in going to church on Sunday?" Maybe. I don't mind talking, though. And it turns out that they were Mormons. Something I learned about Mormons, I didn't know this, but I haven't read the entire Book of Mormon. I have one. But in the Book of Mormon, the family that leaves Israel, they're from the tribe of Manasseh. And does anybody even know that there's a tribe of Manasseh? It's one of the 13. The 13th tribe is split up into two. There's a tribe of Joseph. See, people get confused. They say there's only 12 tribes and that the tribe of Joseph is split up into two, which it is, but there's a tribe of Joseph and then there's the tribe of the sons of Joseph. So there's actually 13 tribes. One of them is the tribe of Ephraim and the other one is the tribe of Manasseh. And again, you have to read through the whole fucking book, but God made a promise to Joseph in Genesis that his son would be the king. And that would be Ephraim. And later on, once you get into the books of Kings, if you get into Kings 1, that's when God evicts the tribe of Judah and Benjamin out of Israel. That's where the south kingdom of Judah comes from. But then the other 10 tribes, they go to the kingdom of Israel. All the 10 missing tribes are the tribes from Israel. But they're not missing. That's the thing. The Jews today, they only say they're missing because they don't recognize the Samaritans, because they hate the Samaritans. There's only like 800 Samaritans left in the world. But the more we learn about the Samaritans, the more we learn that the Samaritans are descendants of the tribe of Ephraim and the tribe of Manasseh, where the Jews, the non-missing tribes, technically it says the non-missing tribes are Levi, Benjamin, and Judah, but there's no Benjamin people left. And this is why I say it's not fair to say that Jews are descendants of David, because David is a descendant of Judah. Benjamin is the son of Rachel, the same Rachel that Virgil was hanging out with. So I was like, what the fuck? Where's all this shit coming from? So that's what I was saying. So in the fourth circle of hell, the circle of greed, before they move on to the 5th, Virgil stops Joseph, or stops David, or God damn it, Dante again. And he starts to explain to him how he gets into the harrowing of hell. Right? So the harrowing of hell is the Shabbat that follows Good Friday. After Jesus died, he went to hell. And he went to hell so that he could, quote, save the old prophets. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, and Rachel. And those are the 5 names that Virgil is like very specific that he calls out. And he's very specific about Rachel too. He says Rachel, who Israel had done so much for. And now in order to even get that reference, you have to read through Genesis, because he's referring to Jacob as Israel, because God changed Jacob's name to Israel. But what did he do for Rachel? He married her sister. He married her sister, who he didn't want to marry, because nobody wanted to marry her because she had poor eyesight. So the day that he was supposed to marry Rachel, Uncle Laban, Rachel's father, he tricked Jacob into marrying Leah when he thought he was marrying Rachel. And then he told him, "Oh, you gotta work for me another 7 years, and you can marry. You gotta stay with this one for 7 years, and then you can marry my younger daughter." So the first child that Leah and Jacob had was named Reuben. And if you read the book, it's so sad. I feel bad for Leah. But if you read the book, read through Genesis, when they have Leah or Reuben, Leah named Reuben because it means maybe now my husband will love me. Poor girl. Reminds me of my ex-wife. I did love you, but I needed to have the boy with you because I knew I wouldn't be able to love you the way that you wanted me to love you. And I knew that if we had a boy, that he would be able to love you in the ways that I can't. That's why I don't make a fuss. That's why I don't make a fuss about you keeping the boy, but I do make a fuss about you not letting me talk to the boy or my family talk to the boy. That's where the problem. That's where the war and the problem gets into things. That's where we get into that shit. We had the boy so I could get away from you. Sorry. Well, you got a better man for you now. Wait, what was it you said? Right? You don't have to tell him how to treat you. He just does it. But that's what Virgil meant when he was talking to Jacob, when he was talking to Dante about what all the things that Israel did for Rachel. And mind you, Rachel died giving birth to Benjamin. I'm a fucking sponge for information, by the way. What was that? I just heard. I think you just beat the Jews, the other one Jews. And no, they're doing it. They know what they're doing. Trust me. God set them up to do what they're doing, so that they would do what they're doing. No, and what I was saying was, it's not fair to say that alarm goes off because you're the king of the Jews. I know. So I say, when I said it's not fair to say that the Jews are just strictly descendants of David, because God specifically, when he evicted the line of David, the line of Judah from Israel, he specifically gave them Benjamin for the sake of the future, so that Jews cannot say that David only David is the king, that all Jews are from the line of David, because that's not true. Right? So now we prove that through the book of Esther. I was getting into this in that last video, but oh shit, we're almost fucking done. And it's in the Talmud too. This is actually a big thing in the Talmud. Because logic would say, oh, well, the Jews are from Judah. But that's not true. Because if you read the Bible, there's only like maybe 5 or 6 Jews that are actually named. And maybe one of them, 2 of them, maybe 3 are from the tribe of Judah. All the other Jews in the Bible aren't from Judah. So that kind of throws that theory out the window. But in the Talmud, Tractate Megillah, chapter 10a, the rabbis in the Gemara, or I'm sorry, in the Mishnah, the Gemara, there's a debate. It goes, who's a Jew? Because I thought Jews were from Judah, and they bring up the curious case of Benjamin. They bring up the curious case of Mordecai the Jew. Mordecai is a Kish. Mordecai is from the tribe of Benjamin. How is he a Jew? Because if you read the book of Esther, there's a man named Mordecai. There's a Jew named Mordecai. And he doesn't bow down to an official from the kingdom that he's exiled into. And the official's henchmen, they come to him one day and they're like, yo, Mordecai, like, what the fuck? The king said everyone's got to bow to Haman. Why aren't you bowing? And his response is, because I'm a Jew. So the rabbis of the Gemara, they go, how is it that he can call himself a Jew if he's not from the tribe of Judah? And it lays out very specifically, okay, well, here's the criteria for being a Jew. A Jew is anyone who, not anyone, but an Israelite. A Jew is anyone who forsakes all forms of idolatry in name of service to the Most High. That's a Jew. So then back to Rachel. It's like, okay, well, what's so important about Rachel? If you go to Ezekiel, well, like I said, Rachel is the mother of Benjamin and Joseph. She died giving birth to Benjamin. But then later on we find out why that had to happen. Because once Joseph's brothers beat the shit out of him and threw him into a pit, Joseph was Jacob's favorite son. And if he didn't have Benjamin to fall back on, the fucking guy would have lost his mind. He's stuck married to this woman, Leah. He didn't want to marry her in the first place. He's got fucking 10 kids with her. Not 10. I think he had like 6 kids with Leah. His wife is dead. His favorite son is gone. They got nothing left except for Benjamin. So Benjamin was like, you ever see Prince Harry's book? I have it on my Audible. Spare. It's called Spare because Prince Harry was called the Spare. Prince Harry's existence is predicated on the fact that he was the spare just in case anything happened to Prince Charles. I don't know his brother's name. So Benjamin was the spare. God had set it up so that when Joseph was thrown into slavery, Jacob would at least have one son from his favorite wife. And it would be later on when Joseph is reunited with his brothers, before they know who he is. And he says, and they tell him about their younger brother who's home with their father. And he wants to make sure that Benjamin's okay, so he tells them, go bring him, go back home and get him. I'm keeping this guy. I think he kept Naphtali, and he threw him into jail. He said, I'm gonna hold on to this motherfucker till you bring that little guy back here. I wanna see him. I wanna make sure you tell me the truth. I'm starting to get a headache. Hashem, what was the point of all this? I thought I was talking about Hellenist Jews. Aristotle. Is this all I ever talk about? I feel like this is all I ever talk about. I think it's just that I need to get attention for the fact that I figured all this stuff out. That I've been able to unify. I did all the Antichrist work, essentially. I think I just need to be acknowledged at the fact, like, you did it. You did it, guy. Good job. You figured out all the bullshit. Good, thank you. That's all I needed. I just needed a pat on the back. Now what? Go home. Okay. Yeah, but now, what am I doing for dinner tonight? I don't know, go drink the rest of your coffee. God damn it. Do you feel better? I feel fucking great. Do I? I guess so. Do you feel satisfied? Yeah, I mean, I threw away my entire life so I can give you that speech. That's awesome. Yeah, fucking depressing song. Okay. Was there anything else? Or was that really that really just it? Did we just do all the stuff? Did it all make sense, though? I mean, I could see it all in my head. I could see it all in my head only for the fact that I've been doing this all day, every day for the past year. All the stuff that you're learning. Right, there's the Art of War. We just got started on that. Let's go back to that. Music theory, Python programming. Oh, there's something that we can use all that with. Put together a nice map. There's Dune. Is there anything important about Dune that I need to remember? Oh, I'm not toying with you guys. That's what it was. So the chapter I read last night, chapter 33, I believe. It's when Jamis challenges Paul. When Jamis challenges Paul as to whether or not he's the Lisan al-Gaib. Stilgar watches the fight, and he comes to the conclusion that Paul is just like toying with Jamis. But Jessica knew what was going on. And even Paul, he wasn't toying with him. It was just... he was putting his training to work, and he wasn't rushing into winning. He knew it wasn't a competition, because that wasn't what it was about. It wasn't about like, am I going to win this or am I going to lose? No, it's just, okay, I have to do this right now. So I think it's right after. It's right after he had. It was right after he killed Jamis. Jessica comes up to him and she's like, "How's it feel to be a killer?" To make him, just to kind of fucking rub salt in the wounds. And then Stilgar comes in. Because Stilgar realizes, okay, this is him. He's the one. He goes, when it comes time for you to challenge me, don't toy with me like you did with him. And Paul goes, the fuck you talking about? I wasn't toying with him. It might seem that way, but that's not what was happening. What was happening was, it's called strategy, the way of strategy. And what I'm doing to you and your parents and ultimately your sister and Jesse, is I'm not rushing into crushing you guys. I don't know if you watched Ahsoka, but towards the end, I think it was like the last episode, where Balin, the Dark Jedi, he goes to Shin Hati. I love Shin Hati, by the way. She's got that googly eye. I love Shin Hati. But he says to Shin Hati, one last piece of advice he gives her, which is rushing into victory is the path to failure. So, like Paul, like chapter 33 of Dune, it's not that I'm toying with you guys. It's just that even like with Joseph, when Joseph was like making his brothers go back to get Benjamin, and then he was sitting there waiting, allowing them to just confess. God damn it, confess. Do tshuva. It's not about that. I mean, don't think that I'm not getting satisfaction out of this. It's been, I think it was Thursday when I messaged you and your father about the $150 so I can buy some stuff off the tennis team's store. And I'm being serious. I'm being dead ass serious. I expect that money. The reason I'm not following up just yet, well, one of the reasons I'm not following up yet is I want that message to leave in a little bit. And I would really like it for you guys to discuss among yourselves, like, why did he do that? Like, what was his intention behind it? My intention behind it was so that you talk about it. I want you talking about me. And more than you already do. More openly. And I would like to find out. I would like to find out that you guys laughed. I only have $8. I got less than that now. But I want to know. I want to make sure that you guys are like making fun. I kind of want to bring your arrogance up to the surface, and at the same time, Richie, I want you to be afraid that I'm going to say something to Joanne. You don't want me, I want you to fear me disturbing Joanne. That's what I want. Like in my head, the way God revealed it to me was, talk to them first. I'm following the rules of engagement as laid out in Torah. When you're going to conquer a nation, once the lands are settled, once Canaan is taken care of, and once you go out into the world to conquer more territory, here are the protocols that you have to follow. First being that you have to at least give that nation an opportunity to surrender. So give them a peace agreement. And a peace agreement is basically, we're coming in, we're taking our shit. We're taking your shit. In the name of God. If that nation does not concede, it's open season. So that initial message that I sent to you guys, hey, can you give me $150 so I can get the boys some stuff? And here's the pictures of the things that I want to get them. I don't necessarily believe that you're not going to give it. I had a sense that you weren't going to comply. I had a sense that it was possible that you weren't going to even respond, which is fine. That's perfect. You have no idea how nervous. I got my nerves are fucking shot from this. I can't get it out of my head. But the nice thing about that is that I realized Like I was saying before, you can't get over something until you go through it, right? The only way out is through. So that's why I'm just allowing myself to indulge. And now we have a schedule on how we're going to go about this. So you don't know this, but I'm using the lunar cycle. The lunar cycle, the rest of this lunar cycle plus the one that we're about to start, the next lunar month, to kind of dictate the days in which I'm going to start pestering people. Now, because you got to remember, you got to ask April. April knows exactly what I'm talking about. She should, at least, because I told her 3 months ago that if she didn't get Desmond on the phone with my mother, I was going to start to annoy the fuck out of you and Joanne, right? So when I got the email from the tennis team the other day, last week, I felt bad because I couldn't get anything, because I did donate the $250 back in March, and I fully support the boy playing tennis. I do. I hope he's enjoying it a lot. I really do. But I wanted to surprise him with the jammy bottoms and that hoodie, the nice hoodie, not one of them shit ones. I wanted to get him the Nike one. So God just told me, he's like, you know what? Ask them for the money. Fuck it. They're the ones who took your son away from you. Well, technically, no. You didn't take my son away from me. Just like Joseph said to his brothers, you didn't send me here. God did. You only did what God put in your path. I can't. The challenge for me is to not want to rip your fucking heads off, and I'm working through that. I'm working through the not taking it personal, which is difficult for me. And there are things that I take personal from all of you. Like when Joanne said, if you want to see your son again, you better talk to a lawyer. Hey, Joanne, are we divorced? Are we not divorced? What's going on? I ain't saying nothing. Okay. All right. Can you say that one more time? Can you say that one more time for me? Yeah, or that time that I went to Jesse because I wanted to have an intervention with April, but I was concerned that if I did, that she would lose her shit and go to your guys' house, which she did. I wanted to give everyone fair warning of what I was doing, but then Jesse told Julie, Julie told Joanne, Joanne told April, and everything got fucked up. But at that time, I'm in this mindset, everything happens for a reason. Don't sweat it. Don't fucking sweat it. Everything will work itself out eventually. Okay, no problem. To be perfectly honest, Rich, I had no idea we were even getting divorced. I thought we were going to work things out. That's what I honestly thought. We never really discussed it. There was the one day I asked her, maybe about a month after she left, I said to her, I'm like, listen, we have the 2 bedrooms. Desmond's got the bunk beds upstairs. We could. Why not? You get the room, you get the big room, and then I'll stay in the bunk bed with Desmond. No, she said. No, I like things the way they are. Okay, no problem. I'm not gonna push it. I granted, I don't know what you did know, what you don't know. I don't know what you were told, I don't know what you weren't told. But at the time, you're digging a bullshit. No shit. I gotta let it go, yeah? You can't let it go if you don't fucking get into it. At the time, I got fucking Desmond telling me, I think mom's cheating on you. Yeah, thanks, bud. That's what all the neighbors are telling me too. No shit. Got Amanda texting me a picture from the beach house that year of April and some dude. Oh, I was so fucking pissed. And then she fucking drops Desmond off with fucking bubbling red fucking sunburn. No clothes. He didn't eat. And I got this fucking kid who's fucking sitting there like a goddamn statue because he can't move. I asked him, what the fuck happened? I got sunburned. Where the fuck is your mother? She was with her friend. A friend? The fuck was she doing with her friend? This is she's telling me, I'm coming to drop them off. I gotta go to my parents' house to water the plants. Water the plant? Nigga, why don't you tell me the fucking truth? Why? So that I can't use that in court? Well, Your Honor, she had a boyfriend. He wasn't my boyfriend. No, I'm talking about the other guy. The gym teacher. The gym teacher that Desmond told me about. Oh, mom's boyfriend. He's a gym teacher. You're about to say tennis. I know, because I looked at this motherfucker's Facebook page. I saw he was a tennis coach. That's why I'm wondering who Desmond's tennis coach is. And when I gave that $250, that was a sign from God. One, it was a chance for me to support Desmond's tennis career, which I was really happy to do. And then two, I'm praying that dude is Desmond's tennis coach, so that he saw the champion, the champion, the champion donator. Because I'm that petty. I thought you said your husband was a deadbeat. That's how it played out in my head. I don't know if that's really how it worked out, but it's like, but I don't really have much else to go on. I have to just make up these scenarios in my head and just assume that I'm not 100% wrong because of the experience that I had with her over these years. And you know what? Like I'm not even gonna bother to try talking to her because, especially with now that I'm more familiar with Torah law, she's your problem. Well, I've been taking care of your son. Yeah, well, you know what? That's your responsibility too. You let this shit happen. It was all happening under your fucking roof, bud. Got a lot of fucking nerve. Do I? You want to know who has a lot of fucking nerve, you motherfucker? You got a lot of fucking nerve. And when I reach out to... When I start including Joanne in those messages on the first quarter moon, and I give you guys my mom's phone number and request that Desmond call my mother on her birthday this year, which is your birthday too. When I do that, and you guys don't respond again, I'm gonna have to start asking myself, why is it that they're not responding? Why are they giving me such a hard time about this? Is it because they don't want to incriminate themselves for something? And why is it that my mother hasn't heard from Desmond? Why the fuck is it that I haven't heard from Desmond? I don't give a fuck what the court said, motherfucker. You the motherfucker. You look stupid in that suit. I bet your mother bought it for you. Yeah, cocksucker. My mother did buy it for me as a birthday present for my brother's fucking friend's wedding. Who the fuck are you? If you cocksuckers didn't let my fucking house get blown up, I might fucking still be living there. Because I can't get this goddamn question out of my head. And it's probably best that we don't talk. Because what I'm just curious about, you were right down the street. Did it never cross your mind? Hey, maybe we should turn the water off. Or did somebody say, fuck it, just let it go? Is that the way it happened? Because that's a question that we're going to find out. That's an answer that we're going to find out. Was it really just an accident and we didn't think about it because we had so much going on in our lives? Or was it, fuck them? Fuck him, let him deal with it. Because you know what? It's interesting. Of all the mail, I haven't gotten my mail in six years. I just found out that because my grandmother died, a year and a half ago, I just found out recently that the state of New Jersey has been trying to get in touch with me because I have an insurance policy that's in my name. It ain't much. It's not the $20,000 that I thought it was. Matter of fact, I don't even know what the fuck happened to the $20,000. I'm assuming Trudy got that. But I don't really know. I reached out to her. She ain't getting back to me on it. But I got at least a $3,000 inheritance coming from my grandmother, which one I can't get because I have to get her death certificate, which involves me getting my father's birth certificate, my birth certificate, plus the names of my great-grandparents. So I'm not really in a big rush for it. Now, the state of New Jersey didn't know how to find me. But Saratoga's lawyers knew how to find me at my mom's house. That was an interesting thing. I don't remember the name of the law firm. By the way, that's taken care of. You're welcome. So as far as it's taken care of on my end, I can't say that they forgot about April. But I did inform them that they had the wrong last name. So April might be able to weasel out of it. Because the original lawsuit was against Derek Pignatoro, who I am not. And when I informed the law firm, hey, I'm not Derek Pignatoro, I'm Derek Pignataro, they sent me another one. They served me again with an additional $50,000 tacked onto the bill because they had to fix their own clerical error. And instead of fixing it so it was against Derek Pignataro, they kept the lawsuit against Derek Pignatoro, a.k.a. Derek Pignataro. Sorry, motherfucker, but I'm Derek Pignataro. This isn't an alias. If there's some motherfucker out there called Derek Pignatoro using Derek Pignataro as an alias, hey, what do you want me to do about it? Now, they found me. How the fuck did Saratoga know? And I'm glad they did. Don't get me wrong. I'm incredibly grateful. Thank you, Hashem. That they found me. Because if they didn't, God only knows. God only knows. I might have a fucking warrant out for me. But I did take care of it. On my end. And as far as I'm concerned, that's squashed. Between me and the lawyers, at least. Because what I let the court system know is, because when they came to serve me again, they served me for like 3 years straight, just regularly serving me. They fucking loved it. Despite the fact that I even said it, like, that's not me, that's not my name. We just need you to sign, just take it. So eventually the sheriff came, because I wasn't going to court. The sheriff came, and he served Mike. Even though I was in the room, they didn't tell me about this. Again, I'm grateful that it played out exactly the way that it did. And what they served me with was a document that was requiring all of my assets, all this shit. Because they were going to take it from me. I don't have nothing. I have nothing. But what I started to know, what I read, I started to read the fine print of the law of the document, and it said, if you don't fill this out and you don't send it back, then we're gonna do something to make you do it, essentially. So I started filling it out, and then it dawned on me, they're making a threat. I feel intimidated, and now they don't know this, but I had just gotten done with real estate school. I didn't pass the test. I succeeded at going to take the test, the state exam, but I succeeded also at not completing it. I was 11 points short. I was 11 points short of a passing score for the New Jersey real estate exam. And what ended up happening was I learned about contract law and how if a contract is signed in duress, thank you, Hashem, thank you, real estate law. But if you sign a contract in duress, kind of like when we went to go do you remember when we went to go to the mortgage? Remember the night we went to go get the mortgage for the house? Did you know I was on coke? And I was drinking? Did you know I was drunk and high when we went to the bank? Kind of like when I was drunk, when you guys had me do insurance fraud. Right? Remember that we didn't have house insurance. We didn't have homeowners insurance on the condo, but you need condo insurance. You need homeowners insurance to have a condo in Saratoga, but we had already had the condo, right? And you're like, just put our insurance policy down. Remember that insurance fraud? I was hoping I was going to go through your insurance policy, by the way, but apparently it didn't. Thank you, Sheb. Thank you, Sheb. That it did, because that would definitely be insurance fraud. We'd all be in court for that one, right? So what ended up happening was, once I was filling out the paperwork, and I read that fine print, because there was a lot of questions that were just like beyond me. I'm like, what the fuck? This is just annoying. And then once I saw that the court was threatening me, that's when I decided, you know what, fuck it. Let me just write a little note to the court that I'm only doing this under duress. My name is not Derek Pignataro. My name is Derek Pignataro. It's not an alias. That's literally my name. That's my birth name. I don't know who this Derek Pignataro is. And that was it. What was that? 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I haven't done nothing since. And fuck it. It's squashed as far as I'm concerned. My Lord, Hashem, fuck it. It's squashed. If it falls on you guys, fuck you. That's your fucking problem. But it also says April Pignataro, a.k.a. April Pignataro, a.k.a. April Baccio. So you guys can, if you guys haven't settled that, and if it's still an open case, you might want to call Saratoga to find out. You might want to call Saratoga to find out, because they know where to find me. I don't know how to find April. And I told them, like, if I had her information, I'd give it to you, but I don't have it. And even when I tried reaching out to her about it, initially, when I first got the letter from Saratoga that the fucking condo blew up, I got no response. So what is the fucking major malfunction with you people? Why all the secrecy? Why all the like the shady fucking the shady activity? Like, because I don't understand. She won't let me talk to Desmond. He doesn't want to talk to you. Is that you saying it, or is that him saying it? Because I haven't heard him say that once. Or he blocked you because you blocked him. What is he, a fucking baby? Tell him to grow the fuck up. I blocked him because I didn't want to continue harassing him for his fucking birthday. Because I realized, like, I'm fucking bugging this kid on his fucking birthday on his Facebook page. It's probably making it uncomfortable as fuck, because I know that part of me is intentionally leaving commenting on his posts so that you motherfuckers can see it. Like, that's not right. That's not right. I'm then playing a fucking mind game. So yeah, I did fucking block him. I blocked him so I could save him the headache of having to deal with you guys. Because I knew the fucking poor kid, he's the fucking middleman on this. God only knows what kind of bullshit he's had to fucking deal with. And I swear to fucking God, you fat, bald motherfucker, if I fucking see that kid again, and I think that there's one fucking hair missing off his fucking head in the wrong fucking way, and I don't mean literally, motherfucker, if I think that there's one fucking thing wrong with that guy, do you know what I'm gonna fucking do? I'm going to invoke my fucking father. As a matter of fact, I'm invoking Frank Pignataro right now. I'm invoking Frank Pignataro right now. Richie, you better get on the fucking phone. You better figure out what the fuck you're doing. You better start writing a fucking novel to my mother, apologizing to her for the bullshit that you have been allowing onto your house. I don't give a fuck if she's a fucking 40-year-old woman or what. She's your fucking daughter. Get your fucking shit together, bud. And get a handle on your fucking whore wife. Who, by the way, may have given my father a blowjob, I found out. You can ask her about that. I don't know. But that's what my father was fucking telling people. I don't like you. Don't get me wrong. I do not like you. If it is up to me, I'm taking all your shit. I'm taking your fucking company, I'm taking all your assets, and it's all going into my fucking name, and then I'm gonna liquidate it all. So I can start a Jew church right in the middle of fucking Tom's River. I'm gonna fucking put all that money into a Jew church so that all the Jews in Lakewood, they see the Messiah is fucking here, right in Tom's River. And all the rest of the Jews, they move out of Lakewood, and they turn Tom's River into literal Lakewood. And we're going to change the fucking name once they elect me as the mayor. We're going to make it into New Israel. And you niggers are going to be my fucking first slaves. Because as a Jew, I have a God-given right to own slaves. And we'll bring that to the fucking federal court. You want some fucking anti-Semitic shit, motherfuckers? I want my slaves, and these are the motherfuckers that are doing it. Because you know what? Fuckface, 13th Amendment actually allows for slavery to be invoked for specific crimes. Now, it doesn't say what crimes, but we're going to find out what crimes. We're going to find out what crimes. Because if I can turn you guys into slaves, if we can turn this into a big case and you guys really did do something illegal, especially to that fucking kid, to my kid, my fucking kid, my kid. I don't give a fuck about Julie's kids. I don't give a fuck about them. My kid. I'm sorry, my fucking goddaughter. If I see my goddaughter again, I'm going to ask her, have they been nice to you since I've been gone? Has anyone been mean to you? Has mommy been mean to you? Has daddy been mean to you? Has the other one daughters been mean to you? They're going to find my godwife. Have you ever felt scared or intimidated ever since I've been gone? Has anybody ever said anything bad or made you feel bad? Have you ever felt that they were going out of line, but you were afraid to say something because you didn't want anything to happen to you? If I find out that you guys fucking did anything to Aaliyah, intimidated her in any way, shape, or form, or my kaiju, or my boy, you're fucked. You wanna know where the fuck I've been for the past 6 years, motherfucker? I got it all fucking written down. Every fucking thing I've had to sit through with your fucking daughter throwing shit on me. What I hear my God telling me right now is that this is going to be a lesson for you guys. Learn how to take personal accountability for your actions. Motherfucker, do not even dare. Because if you did, and you were actually a man, you're supposed to be the man of the house. I don't even want to, I'm not even going to bother with Jesse. I'm not going to bother with that fucking schlup. But if you were a fucking man, you'd be eating my mother's fucking ass, begging for her forgiveness. Do you know what kind of shit this has been putting her through? Do you know what it's fucking like to have me living there for 6 fucking years? Do you have any fucking clue? Because I'm coming to your fucking house next, motherfucker. You're gonna invite me to live in your house. You're gonna beg me to fucking live in your house. To set you motherfuckers straight. And you're gonna invite me over for Christmas. Because, motherfucker, this year, Christmas and the first day of Hanukkah are on the same day. Oh, I could feel the spirit. I could feel the Holy Spirit of Frank Pignataro. Frank, son of Frank, son of Frank. Did you know there was 3 Franks? I didn't know that. I just found that out 2 weeks ago. My great-grandfather was named Frank. I'm trying to figure out what my great-great-grandfather's name was. I know his wife's name is Aquilina. They come from Caledonia, a Jew hotspot. It was like the Lakewood of Italy. So that's where the Jew comes from. Caledonia? I have it all written down. Derek, son of Frank, son of Frank, son of Frank, son of the husband of Aquilina Pignataro. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is like all one big misunderstanding. But I got a sense that it's not. Because if it was, I don't think Joanne would say some stupid shit like, you want to talk to your son, you better talk to a lawyer. You want to see your son again. Bitch. You know, here's my fantasy. I get integrated back into the family. I choose my godwife, Aaliyah. And then we're going to go to the court and we're going to take Kaya Jujang away from her parents and we're going to raise her as our own. We're going to fuck up that family like you guys fucked up my family. And you're never going to get rid of me. This is my sexual fantasy. That's my wet dream. And I'm gonna do everything in my power using God. Because remember, I'm just the guy that's doing the things. God's telling me what to do. And by the time we're done with this, by the time we're done chewing you up like a fucking chew toy, if you're not gonna bow to him, you're gonna fucking bow to me.